like, since we have a small group in here, maybe it might be more of a question-answer thing, but I'll start with my presentation. I'll let you know that's Duluth, Minnesota, Spirit Mountain, and I'm going to tell you a story first about one of our employees. Her name is Jody. I'm going to talk like I'm talking from her perspective. So when I started the Whole You program 45 days ago, I never thought I'd be here today. When I started, I had given up ever feeling healthy again. I've been to so many doctors the last 15 years, and they all either treated me like I was crazy, or that they wanted to put me on some sort of medicine. The first coaching call gave me the hope I haven't had in decades. The Well Guide truly heard me. I felt they understood me, not only medically, but as a fellow human and what I was going through. The tears I cried during that call were tears of relief, because I finally felt I was where I was supposed to be. Throughout this journey, the Well Guide educated me, challenged me, and held me accountable, even when I didn't want to be. They looked at me as a whole person, my physical challenges, my mental and emotional barriers, and even took into account my fears. They never let me fall back into old patterns, and they challenged me to keep moving forward. I'm happy to report as of today, day 45, I've lost 26 pounds. I've never lost more than 15 pounds before, and they always come right back on. I'm down 2 pant sizes and have more energy to chase around my kids. I have not had an allergy attack or a headache in over 4 weeks. And my stomach issues are under control. Through the Well Guide's research and referrals, I had my first appointment with an amazing rheumatologist. My first meeting is in 2 weeks. I'm hopeful that with my change in diet and help with the rheumatologist, I'll continue to feel better. I've almost had no pain at all the last few weeks. I cannot thank Ziegler enough for this program. It has changed my life. I'll pass on what I've learned to my children. Above all else, this program taught me to listen to my body and be my own advocate. Only I know what's right for me. I thank the Well Guide for giving me the strength to work through this. So Jody, one of our employees, is one of our hundreds of success stories. And she went through our Whole You program. We do this a couple times a year, and I'll kind of run through that a little bit later, but I kind of want to take you back in our journey a little bit. And I apologize, I'm going to be kind of moving back and forth between there, because my presentation is a little weird. But every new employee orientation, we have a wellness section. And this is the quote we share with all our new employees. We spend our entire lives sacrificing our health to gain money. When we get to retirement years, we sacrifice all our money to try to regain our health. So this not only ties into some of the wellness stuff I'm talking about today, but this is related to our safety program, our retirement programs, anything that we provide for our employees. We talk about this. I work for a family-owned Caterpillar dealership in the Midwest, out of Minneapolis. We have Minneapolis, Iowa, Missouri, Wisconsin, and I'd have to say I've worked there 13 years now, and this is a family that truly values their employees. And why they value their employees is because our vision is to service our customers, because we feel if our customers are successful, that's easy for me to say, then we'll be successful. And so our employees are engaged at that level. I won't tell you that we have 99% of our employees engaged at that level, but we do have people that wake up at all hours of the night to go out there and fix yellow iron and turn wrenches and stay late to support our employees through our HR department or marketing department or wherever they work. And we want to get better doing that, and one of the initiatives has been around our wellness program. So when I talk about when we started our wellness program, we really had a few goals in mind. And this was, let's see, I've known Kelly LePage from Well Trail for 10, 12 years, and we're 90% male. And I don't need to pick on the males in the room, but what I'll say is when I started to talk about wellness programs, I would say some of our upper management, executive management, wasn't all on board. And so it was, it took me a while to get to this point. And I'd have to say, now it's something they talk about with every new employee, and they embrace it. They might not always make the healthiest choices, but who does? But they embrace it. They want our employees to leave as they showed up for work, or even better. So when we started talking about our wellness program, what did we want? What was our approach? It wasn't about helping every single employee, because quite frankly, our wellness program is voluntary. We knew it would never work unless we made it voluntary. So our approach was to help the employees that want help. And through this transition, I'd say, we went from, and I'll tell you where our health program was 13 years ago when I started. Our family coverage was $90 a month and about $150 deductible. And about 5 years ago, we made the change to go to a high deductible program that's HSA qualified. And we knew doing that, we had to give our people more control and more resources to take better care of themselves, so that they didn't have to use all the resources we provide through insurance. I mean, insurance is for those things like when you get in a car accident, or when you have a fire at your house, or whatever, and that's how we were approaching our health plan too. So when we started this journey, we also knew we wanted to work with a wellness group that could make this personal for the employee. Because a cookie cutter approach wasn't going to work. People aren't going to make significant changes in their life if you just throw out that exercise program or a whole new program on the side or whatever. You had to make it personal to them. You had to make them see what they wanted to change, what they're able to change. So our goal was not only to get our owners' commitment, which we finally did, and I'll explain that a little bit, but to also try to incorporate it into everything we do. So when we talk about treating our employees and giving them the resources and the help they need to get to where they want to be, we wanted to make that as easy as possible in our wellness program. So, I know I'm kind of jumping around here. So we wanted to make sure they had a personal choice. We wanted to offer the resources in such a way that they didn't have to go outside of the environment to get them. And we wanted to make it as easy as possible. So reducing those barriers. These are some of our guys around our yellow iron. Some of the smaller stuff. I don't have pictures of the bigger stuff. But how do we measure that success in our program? I'm very fortunate to have worked with our executive vice president on this project. And to listen to him talk, you know, some of our technicians probably won't believe this of him because he's kind of a white stuffed shirt, accountant kind of person. But he is an inspiration because he didn't care if our program helped 50 people, and we have 1,900. He said, this is the right thing to do. After I loved him for about 4 years, but anyway, I can be kind of persuasive. No, actually, I shouldn't say that. Mark has always been a great supporter of this program, and what we wanted to do is make sure that people knew participation was voluntary, and we wanted to make sure that they knew it was confidential. So that's why we're using an outside vendor. They don't want all this stuff coming back to HR. No one really wants all this stuff coming back to HR, right? So how do we measure that? I'd say the number one way we measure the success of our program are the success stories that our employees are willing to share with us. And just like I shared the story of Jody at the beginning, and I'm literally not kidding that we have hundreds of these. We also measure participation. Our programs grow in leaps and bounds since we started this in 2010. And how they engage with our well guides. So I'll kind of take you back through our journey. Now, I would say I haven't got rid of the fryer in our cafeteria yet, but we never will, because we believe our program is about choice. We will have healthy options for our people, but it won't be the only options. In any of our meetings, in our cafeteria, people have to want to choose it. It has to be their choice, because you're not going to get any sustainable change. And in our culture, that's the biggest challenge, I would say, is having sustainable change. And you have to keep moving and shifting that around until you engage people at a certain level that it kind of tips over to the other side and people keep moving, right? So what I would say is our culture's gotten to that point. Is it where we want it to be? Not by any means. This is a journey. We actually took it off our corporate initiatives last year because we said, this isn't an initiative. This is what we have to do. We still have safety out there as an initiative, but not wellness. So when we started looking at who could help us get to where we wanted to be, we went to, we looked at a number of different vendors, from telephonic coaching to just, online type of things. And like I said, I've known Kelly for 10 years, and I said, no, we need a person of choice. And I kind of joke, because every time she has another well guide to her staff, I'm like, well, part of the deal is you got to coach me. There's a lot of coaching that needs to be done here. But anyway, I would say it has to be personal. It has to be at their site. They'll meet with my mechanics who are turning wrenches on an excavator. They will meet with an office person in their office. They will walk around and bug them. I shouldn't say bug them, but be available to them, because people don't, our employees didn't even go to the doctor, for God's sake, until they almost can't breathe and they're going to have a heart attack. I would say the first year we did health risk assessments, we didn't do any kind of incentive, but we had 95% participation. And what we did, though, was we made the meeting mandatory. Everybody had to come to the meeting. Did they have to participate? No. They had to listen to the message, and then they chose if they want to do the health risk assessment and the biometrics. And our biometrics, I don't know if anybody's visited the well trail booth, is basically standing on the scale, the body fat, the hydration, the blood pressure. No needles, no nothing like that. And what we found through that is 60%, well, actually it's permanent. 75% of our people hadn't even been to the doctor. Hadn't had a blood pressure in, 10 years. Now that's changed. They go to the doctor. 60% of our people are going for their preventative screenings. They're getting their blood pressure taken every year. Our participation in our annual health risk assessments is still up in the 90s. I would say the only incentive we offer our people in any of our wellness stuff is related to the health risk assessment. And if they participate, they get $200 in their HSA account the following year. And that's only if they participate. That's the only incentive we do. And the reason we do that one, and we probably will consider not doing it next year, is we want them to at least have an awareness where they are from a wellness standpoint. So everybody kind of knows what they don't do. They know they don't eat right. They know they don't exercise right. They know they probably don't manage their stress at a level they should manage it. But until they see it kind of black and white in front of them, they don't have to make a decision, right? They don't have to make a decision about what they're going to do. What they should do is all written all over the pages when they get it back. What they can do are a number of things, and what they're willing to do is the last one, and that's where we have our well guides right there ready to help them if they choose to help them figure out what that is. So basically, we're offering them an opportunity to take a look at that and move forward. They get to choose if they're going to move forward. Now, what I'll say is through this journey, we made a decision October 2010 to do this. And we have 28 locations across 4 states. November 2010, Well Trail went to every one of our locations and held these meetings, and 97% of our people participated in these. And that was the birth of our wellness program right there. And what happened through that is, because they get some one-on-one consultation when they actually sit and do the paper format and get their biometrics done, they're getting it done right with the well guide at that point. We decided to start slow, and that's why we went with Well Trail, because they customized an approach that would work with our environment. We weren't, well, I'll tell you something about, we're not the only cat dealer that does that. We're never on the front of the wave. We're kind of riding the back of the wave, waiting for the other people to crash in front of us. So we needed a slow approach. So we started with this, and then we did some telephonic type of coaching. Then we knew we wanted our new employees to actually experience this meeting when they came on board. So every other month we have all our new employees in for orientation, and then we had a well guide, actually, Dan, who's in the back of the room, would come out to Minnesota all times of the year, and it's actually colder there than it is now today, and do this same meeting with our new employees. And then he was already following up with people that wanted one-on-one coaching, guiding through their wellness journey on site. Well, Dan soon became overwhelmed. And within a year, we hired, we contracted with Well Trail to bring on our first full-time well guide. And about a year after that, she was overwhelmed, and still is.
Yeah.
We have people that really engage in this process. We hired or contracted for a second well guide who started about a year ago now? Yeah. Year and a half. Is it a year and a half? Okay. So what do these guys do? Well, and I shouldn't say this is our only, I'm going to skip through here. This isn't the only thing we do, but it's the most important thing we do. Because why it's important is because these well guides work with our employees one-on-one and whatever they feel they can work on or want help with. And what I can tell you, and I'll share some of the results, and you can decide for yourself if those are good or not good, that the only thing our management really cares about is that our employees have success. We don't measure ROI. We do this program because it's the right thing to do for our employees. We knew we were going to have to shift our gears on our medical plan, and there was going to be more risk for our employees with the higher deductible. We capped it on the outside edge, and if I'm talking too much about the medical plan, it's only because the max out of pocket for an employee any 1 year is $4,000, but their deductible is anywhere from $1,400 to $3,200. We contribute to the HSA plan, HSA account outside of the incentive. So they do have some protection there because we're pretty maternalistic with our employees. So that we always, some of our employees, we've been doing our program now for 5 years, and they probably have $5-6 grand in there from their accounts because they haven't had to use them. But the other things we offer besides the one-on-one approach is our well guides can also work with employees, their spouses, their other family members. We don't limit that. And I'm sure Melissa, Dan, Kelly, and Laura can tell you great stories about working with families that we have. I know Laura's been on my speed dial at some of the basketball tournaments I've done with my child, going, okay, Max just did this, what do I do? And she picks up.
Of course.
And not just because it's me. The other things we've offered over the last couple of years are the Whole You program, which has been a great success, and I'll share some results from that. And this is when I was talking about Jody. Those were her words, her story through that program. It was, it's pretty amazing. I've done the Whole You program a couple of times. This last time I wasn't so successful, but the reason I do the Whole You program is because it makes me feel better. Getting away from the processed food. And I'm going to talk about that program a little bit because it's interesting that the focus of the program is not really to lose weight. The focus of the program is to eat in a way that your body was meant to eat. Whole, non-processed food. And how do you do that in a way that works for you? And it's a 30-day reset, and we've had employees do this 4 or 5 times, have done it longer than 30 days, and have had amazing results from reduced diabetes issues, reduced cholesterol issues, reduced allergy and stomach issues, headaches, energy, all of those types of things. We've had all the other types of results too, loss of body fat, loss of weight, that type of thing. I'll go through that in a minute. We do a couple other things, and a couple of the other programs we offer are more of a visible sign of our wellness program, I would say. Exercise challenges, offering sit-to-stand desk, things like that are more visible. They don't impact a lot of our employees, but it's more of, oh, Ziegler, we have a wellness program, and these are the visible pieces of it, but that's not where the real change happens. The real change happens on a one-on-one personal basis. The other program we started this year, and we really geared this to our technicians who tend to be guys that never want to say they're in pain, but live with pain every day, soft tissue injuries. So we brought in a chiropractic group that does ART, active release technique, and it's a technique that actually they break down scar tissue in your soft tissues, muscles, things like that that are causing pinching basically of nerves and things like that. And once they release the scar tissue, the muscle goes back to more pliable state and your pain goes away. And they can usually do this in 2 to 3 visits, 15 minutes a piece. And they come in every Tuesday and Wednesday at our big sites right now, and we have 10 people that go through it each time. 5 minutes, that's all I have left? Okay. This is going to look really silly, but that program
Just in case
is
they
really
may give you a
long.
couple more, I just wanted to give you the.
Okay, all right. So there's a number of things we do to make it visible, but I would say some of the whole use stuff that really changes people's eating habits and makes them feel better. Just like they were talking earlier today. How do you feel well, right? What makes you feel well? What's important to you? The other things I do want to get to, so you guys don't think that I'm just all kind of crazy on this. So these are our active consults with our well guides. So in 2014, we were around 6,000, and towards the end of the year is when Melissa started our second well guide. And this year, we're going to approach 10,000 active consults. And I would say they're probably consulting over 2/3 of our sites. We have 28 locations, anywhere from 2 to 500 employees at those locations. So we have high engagement at 1/3 of our sites. Those would be the sites that we've had a well guide at for 3-4 years now. Our moderate is anywhere from 20 to 54% of our employees are working with a well guide at those sites, and that would be more of where Melissa came in about a year ago. And I'm sure these numbers have changed because this is probably about 4 months old. And then we have our lower sites. I mean, we have a couple small stores in Wisconsin or down in Missouri, which is really far away. We go all the way from the Canadian border to the middle of Missouri to Wisconsin, all the way. We even have some people in the fracking fields of North Dakota. Measures of success. This is, I'm going to just point out a couple of these that I always like to explain a little bit more, I guess is the way to put it. And the first one is metabolic years. Our people just love this one. And what they do when you go through the metabolic or the biometric screening is that it'll show what age you are from a metabolic standpoint. So if you're within 5 years of your age, you're metabolizing it where you should be. If it's off from that, on the high side, there could be a number of reasons for that. It might be some medication you're on. It might be some other issues, which we leave our well guides to explain when they actually show up. You can actually be a lot lower than that, and that means you're metabolizing at a different rate. So obviously, if it's a lot different, like we have people that are in their 50s that are metabolizing at a rate of a 13-year-old. And Mark, he beats me every year. He's like 12. So it's just interesting. It's interesting because it's how your body's working, right? So that one's interesting. The other one I like to talk about is the visceral fat. This is the fat. They kind of call it the skinny fat. So you could be skinny, but you could have a lot of internalized fat around your organs. So that's the visceral fat. So that's more dangerous than what you see on somebody, because it's making all your organs work a lot harder and can lead to other disease states. So we measure that through biometrics. And we've been able to see a lot of good results. So these results from 2014 are from our employees that took the health risk assessment in 2013 to 2014, and this is the difference in some of those numbers. So you can kind of see what we've seen: reduced risk factors in cholesterol, diabetes, hypertension, and arthritis. The whole U, we measure that separately, some of the same sort of measurements, but the ones that are really impactful for me are the diabetics in the program, because when you pull processed food out of your diet, you're pulling out a lot of the sugars that they put in all of that. And if you can break that craving for sugar, that's where the big benefit is, because your body craves the good stuff. And when you eat the bad stuff, your body just wants more of the bad stuff. Sugar is kind of more addicting than a lot of other drugs out there. Although when I do my little speech at new employer orientation, I talk about, you shouldn't be under the influence of drugs or alcohol when you work. That's kind of a safety absolute at Ziegler. I know it's kind of weird, isn't it? But I said, but we haven't put caffeine or sugar on the list yet, so everybody's still safe, right? And anybody that works with me knows when I've had caffeine, it's not good. It's not pretty, but anyway. So through this program, our diabetics have great success because they're reducing the amounts of sugars they consume every day. And so they're seeing improvements by reduced medication, reduced blood sugar levels. They really just feel better. And isn't that what wellness is about, well-being is about? Being able to just feel better. You don't have to live in pain. So that program's been just awesome. Even from an inflammatory and allergic conditions, people report it's changed their lives. A nice side note to this is the reduction in the number of people reporting these types of injuries or symptoms of injuries. And throughout the years, this has dropped dramatically with us. Not any of these categories, they've all improved by at least 30% across the board. And this isn't something we were targeting with this program. But I'm sure our well guides could share with you how many people come to them with these types of injuries. And I'll tell you, it's not our technicians. It's our office people. It's our office people that are having these conditions. So I don't know if anybody else is there, we're self-insured on our health plan. We're insured on our work comp. We have short and long-term disability. We have our employees 24/7. So if we don't give them the opportunity to give them resources and make the barriers, drop the barriers so it makes it easy for them to use, we're not going to have healthy employees. And if we don't have our employees, we'll never get to our vision. And our vision at Ziegler is we're going to service the customer, because if our customers are successful, we'll be successful. And the only way we do that at Ziegler is through our people. Because we're a Caterpillar dealer. We don't make the equipment, we sell it and service it. That's what we do. And that's what people look at. And they can't do it if their back hurts, their shoulders hurt, their knees hurt. I'm going to leave you with one more. And this really isn't John. This is actually my son again, because I never get licensed to pictures, so you get my kid pictures in my presentations. And he likes to hunt, if you can't tell. But I'm going to tell you about John. It was about 3 weeks into our program with WellTrail. And John was provided with information to help her, they came in, did their health risk assessments. John was sort of intrigued, started working with colleague Dan. And he was, when he first talked to Dan, he was scheduled to actually have back surgery. And so that was probably 2010, 2011. So when he started talking to Dan, he said he had endured multiple cortisone shots, chiropractic visits, pain meds. Nothing would relieve his back pain. As he worked with Dan, started asking him some questions, and in Dan's mind, that didn't add up. And he asked John if he would talk to another well guide. And that well guide was Kelly. I'm pretty positive. You guys can fill in those blanks for me, but anyway. And as he spoke with Kelly, he just, within 15 minutes of that conversation, it was apparent that he wasn't really having a back issue. He was having a hip issue. This is the guy that was scheduled for back surgery in a couple of weeks from this. He agreed to, the well guy recommended at that point that John give a second opinion and get another MRI of his hips in addition to some other diagnostic tests that hadn't been done on his back. Despite the kickback from the specialist, he went forward and followed through with it. And what he found on there, he had a torn labrum.
That's it.
Is that the right? Hey, these guys are coaching me how to say that. And significant degenerative arthritis in both his hips. The problem was not his back, it was his hips. I already said that. But what they did is develop a list of questions for John to work back with his specialist and come back to another diagnosis. And he actually needed hip replacement. And within a couple months of being scheduled, when he first talked to the well guides, a couple months into it, he was actually scheduled for surgery and had a surgery. And since that, you know, even leading up to the surgery, the well guides, both Dan and Kelly, gave him enough information to prepare him for what's going to happen to him, and also educate him on what types of things to watch out for in terms of maybe issues that might pop up. And one of those issues, actually, one of those complications popped up when he was having surgery, and he knew exactly how to handle it through their education. Within 2 months after his hip replacement, he had 0 back pain. And he couldn't remember feeling that way for decades. By 6 months after he had started running program, following the advice of his well guide, and that led to a 25-pound weight loss. He has shared his story with so many people at Ziegler, and the intervention from the well guides was amazing. It has been 4 years and he's more active than ever. Actually, I run into him at the gym all the time. He's maintained a healthier lifestyle, improved his activity and nutrition levels, and his cholesterol level and blood pressure levels are back down to normal without medication. He was on medication for both of those. He no longer has any pain, is able to do more than when he was 25 years old. And John is about my age, so I would say probably around 50.
So he's 27.
He's 27, yeah, because I'm 27. But that's what I want to say is this is how we measure our success at Ziegler. One employee at a time and doing the right thing for them. Because without John, we can't do what we do. Without Joni,